Round 9 of Draftstars has come around really quickly, and we're kicking off with my team, the Cows, up against the Sharks, and I expect the Sharks to win this one pretty comfortably. So, in terms of total plays in this one, Nico Hines is probably pretty important, averaging 84 for the season, but we'll get to that section in a minute. Val Holmes was really good on the weekend, hitting a massive score, and he's very expensive. So, if you think the Cowboys can do it right, him or Drinkwater could be the play. I wouldn't go for both of them, but potentially one could be that one. But again, if you're picking up Nico Hines, you can't go for either. So if you're not, then Talakai could be the play. Siona Katoa. Will Kennedy continues to score tries, so any mixture of these guys in the Sharks team is going to be a winner. Kyle Felt as well, pretty cheap if you want to get a try-scoring wizard. That he is there, he could do a good job. In that halves position, it's really only Hines. I'm not too keen on Robson at the moment. And then Townsend, his form has dropped a fair bit as well. Compared to the start of the season, he was having a cracker. Jake Granville is an interesting one at 12.5. He's probably a little bit expensive, but still one of those guys you might look to in the flex anyway if you need another player. For the forwards, we've got Ruben Cotter. I think he's pretty close to a must-have in this one. Him, Nagora, and also McInnes can all do really well. McInnes there. Big minutes again, only 46 in this one, so might be the Cotter or Nakora are your plays and the ones you need to go for in this one. Obviously, there's plenty of other options given they still are missing Finucane and Toby Ridolph, so Oregon Kafusi has been scoring solidly along with Braden Hamlin-Uele. I would go for Uele first before I would go for Kafusi in this one, and then Jack Williams is actually scoring okay off the bench as well. So it's a mixture of options, guys, and I wish you luck with that game. For the Eels squad up against the Knights, it's going to be an interesting game. I think it'll be fairly close, and that means you can still probably pick the Knights outside backs, who seem to be the best scorers at the moment. Bradman Best coming off a better game as well, so he could be a play in this one. If you think the left side defense of the Knights can be compromised, then I think Will Penasini would be a good play for your side as well. As Gutho, who at 12k is averaging, recently in the last 3 games, 39. So he could be a play as well. Obviously, Russell's very cheap, and he could be a guy that could sneak a try in this one at under 10k. If you go in the half section, we've got Moses, obviously the clear best option up top in terms of his price, but I think Ponga could be pretty solid, and Crossland just needs to 100% be in your side. Over 40 each of the last 3 weeks at 12.7. He is a must-have either in this position or in the flex. If you're going to the forwards, then Maddo has been really good along with Frizzell. They're the 2 top guys. Fitzgibbon has been probably the most consistent out of all, but Sean Lane could be the play as well at 17k. So he's had a much better game last week, picked up a 59, but really where all the value is down below. In Hopgood at 14k now, he had a solid one last week. Obviously the sin bin didn't help him, but 42, and I think he'll do better than that this week, and that would be definite value for you. In this squad, you've got Leo Thompson and Junior Paulo there, both the cheaper guys. With RCG out, I think Junior's going to be benefiting from that. And then down below, not really too many options apart from Greg, who's averaging 20. So not exciting, but obviously with RCG out, that could be helpful as well. In the next game there, you've got the Broncos and the Bunnies, and Latrell's been dominant. And really, if you want to be winning this game, then Latrell needs to be in your side. Somehow he's under 20k. With Heinze there has been averaging 80. He's at 26,000. Latrell's under 20. So seems to be value definitely with Latrell in this one. And whilst he's still been scoring well, a low one last week, but you can have that every now and then. I still think Johnson and Isaiah Tass could be very sneaky good options at a cheap price as well. So keep them in mind if you're looking to go with Latrell to pair him with one of those cheaper guys for sure. In the half hooker section, we've got obviously Reynolds and Cook being the clear top option, both averaging 60. I think Cody Walker can have a good game along with Lockie Lewis, who's actually averaging pretty solidly, over 40 each of those last 3, and he's at 13.7, so he's definitely a solid one to have a look at. Tavita Totola is back. I think he's going to be an option in a few weeks, but after he drops a little bit in this price. Cam Murray and Carrigan, I'm expecting big games for. You can get Carrigan a lot cheaper than you can get Murray in this one, but Cheekam's your guy. 13.3k, not too expensive, but he's been in the 40s each and every game. And Jacob Host would be the risk, guys, but he's 11,000 now, and after that shocker last week, he could definitely do okay, but obviously guys like Hame Sele are probably a little bit safer at 10k after his big score last week. I don't expect 43, but maybe a 35 could work for him. Raiders and the Dolphins. It's going to be a bit of a funky one for sure. How this one's going to go, I have no idea. I think it'll be fairly close. I don't know who's going to win, but no one does, obviously. So Aiken's been dominant of previous weeks. Him and Asako, obviously the two guys that have been super consistent in that side. Hammer, a lot less the last few weeks, really. So he's still averaging 46.7 the last three and is very cheap out of all of those guys. So if you need to spend a little bit less, then he's your guy. And obviously Tomoko on the Raiders side has been very consistent. They're the only guys I would look at. Obviously Rob Jennings got a big one last week with a few tries, but had a couple of brain snaps, that's for sure. In the next section, he obviously... Fogs is probably the play you want to go for here. Whiten is back at 85 a couple of games ago, 48 last game for him. Two good scores in that one. Whiten is back. I don't know how things are going to pan out with him, obviously signing with the Bunnies. Isaiah Katoa has been the better scorer the last few weeks, and I still think he'll go 40 again in this one. And Nikarima, I think, is pretty close to a must-have. 32 a couple of weeks ago, 41 last week, and I think he'll be able to do the same in this one. And he's at 10.5k, so cheap, so get him in. Taps, he's an interesting one. I think Horsburgh's the other one you probably need to play at. Two good scores the last few weeks with big minutes in the 13 role. If you think you'll get that again, he is the play. Up top, it's like Hudson Young or Tarpanay. I think you need to watch Tarpanay at the moment. He hasn't been scoring that great the last couple, so he's someone to look at and probably fade, to be honest. And then really from down there, Josh Probably is an interesting one. For some reason he's at 9,900. He's been scoring really well consistently. I don't know what's going on there, why he's down that low, but he's a must-have, so get him in your side as well. To the next game, Dave Fafita. Let's go over the forwards to start. He's a must-have. I think he's going to be scoring a try in this one. Get him in your side. And Mo Fortawake is the other one. If you can't get to Fafita, he's the next guy that should be on your list. Big minutes of recent time, averaging 55 points. Get him in your side. Sipley's been great as well. So I think the minutes for him will drop a little bit, but he's so cheap at 12.8 that even if he goes down from that 53 average to like a high 30s 40, I think he's going to be worth getting in your side for sure. Halves hookers, DCE as always, but Tanner Boyd was the guy last week that absolutely dominated with a try, but big kick meters and just did a bit of everything across the park. So Tanner Boyd, I think he's the first play, and then you could go for DCE from there. Really, other guys in this squad in this position, not really of an option to, in my opinion anyway. I think Tommy Turbo you need to avoid this week. Garrett's in the centres as well, so not too excited by him. AJ Brimson, he's very cheap, and I think he's the play at 12k. I think he can come out and do well. And other than that, I don't really like anyone else. Phil Sami has been great the last bunch of weeks, and is getting those crab run, tackle breaking runs, so he's going to be the play. It sounds like Cleary will play this game, so if he does, then 24,900, I think you need to slot him in. Isaiah Yeo will be an interesting one for him. I think he'll still score really well, but if the Panthers absolutely dominate in this one, does Cleary, do they get early showers? I think they potentially do. So Yo has been absolutely killing it, but do you select him in this one? I'm not sure. You have to look a little bit lower. And guys like Liotta obviously scoring well. Sorensen, he's potentially racing the clock apparently. So if Garner does play instead of Sorensen, you'd pick him up. And Tyron Peachy's playing in the centres in this one. At 9k, I think you need to slot him in your side, at least in the flex or as one of your 3 forward spots. That would be the play in this one. Eisenhuth is starting as well, but hasn't been playing big minutes and not scoring very well, so we'll avoid him. But yeah, overall, this game is not very exciting for the forwards, so I wouldn't spend too much, but you do want to kind of lock in some decent scores. Mitch Kenny's been doing really well. Will there be a lot of tackles in this game? If it's a closer game, sure, and I think you need to select him, but other than that, he's probably not a selection this week. He's just so cheap though, isn't he? And then outside backs, I think you can go for some of the lower guys. Edwards will do great, but I think you can pick cheaper in Taruva, in Crichton, in it's those type of guys. As I said, Tyron Peachy could probably score a couple, so he needs to be in your squad. And if you think the Tigers can put up a fight, then Jareem Bullard did pretty well last week for his first game in the NRL. Let's go to the next one. Last two guys, the Warriors and the Roosters. And in the outside backs there, Teddy had a much improved game, and guys like Suoli'i and Momorowski went pretty poor. So Barlow hasn't been doing well either. So if you think this can be fairly close, then guys like Vatini Zalesniak, he's very, very cheap. You can see here there's not many high-priced guys in this section. So it might be just to go with Teddy and then one of like DWZ, Montoya, these type of guys there, or you bank on Corey Allen potentially scoring a try at 9k. Actually, I forgot to say that Tane Tuapiki is getting that start again this week, and he's a must-have in this position. Almost missed him there, at 9k. In the halves hookers, Manu, I think you just get him in, don't you? Like 80 this week. With that try, he was great, and I think he can do an awesome job again for your side. Johnson's been really consistent, averaging 62 the last 3. He's been good. Brandon Smith has been great. He's very expensive at 17k now, so he's probably a void for me. And Walker potentially misses out on this game, depending on what happens with the decision on his throwdown of Veli Katoa. So we'll find out about that soon. And Wade Egan's back, so Freddie Luxick not an option anymore. And the forwards, Adam Fanua-Blake has been great. Potentially an option this week. He's very expensive. I think you need to go for Josh Curran at 13.8. Getting that start in the 13 jersey, he will be, I think, a must-have for you in this game. Bunty Afoa has been doing really well as also, so I would select Bunty over Tom Ale this week at the same price. And you're avoiding guys like Crichton and Tupanua, considering they will be on the bench in this one. So, yeah, there's definitely some options to go around. I think Adam Fanua-Blake, as the most expensive, will be a solid one for sure. Outside backs as well. In this one for the Dogs and also the Dragons game, we've got some potential options in guys like Hayes Perham. Tyrell Sloan continues to score pretty well. I think Alamotti will have a much better game in this one. He's under 11k, so something to think about. And yeah, Braden Burns had a big one on the wing. I doubt that that's going to continue happening weekly, but that's that. And Sully averaging 36.5 over his last 3 as well. So really no clear options in that section, but a bunch of okay ones for sure. Halves hookers, I expect Burton to have a big game. Averaging 55.5 the last 3. I think him as a slightly better option than Hunt. I expect the Dogs to just get up in this one. Dragons play pretty well, but so I think it'll be close. Maybe like a 24-22 type of scoring. And I think Burton will... I think I'm going to call Burton to score a try in this one, so that's that. Reynolds is in there at 9k, but could he score 25-30? Sure. Could he go 15? He could as well. So potentially it's a flex option if you don't have any other options there. Forwards, Jack Bird goes up to a 22,500 salary cap, which is just wild for me. 68 average though the last 3. He's been absolutely killing it. So he's potentially an option. He's been doing really well. Like, do you go with Pangai again in that bit of a scary one? Corey Waddell went great last week, but he's at 15k, so he's gone up as well. Getting up to closer to a top 5 type of scorer now, which is wild. And Couchman got big minutes last week. Does he do that again? Curtis Morin got some big minutes when he was playing. Do you go for them? Do you go for Murdoch Basila? He got a 33 last week and could potentially and hopefully do that again for my fantasy team. But this forwards position, not really exciting overall. Bird, you might just have to lock him in as your top price guy. And then obviously you got guys like DeBellin, who I think are probably a clear must-have. The only real must-have in this forwards position would be JDB, a 47 last week, but I think he can better that again in this one, and you'd expect a bounce back game from TPJ, but that's that. So good luck with your Draftstars selection this week, guys. 8 good games, Thursday all the way through to Sunday this week. Thankfully, a much cleaner way of going about it this week with not 6 days of games or whatever it was last week. So I wish you all the best of luck and have a good one. Sorry about the voice again.